Good evening again, guys, and thank you for coming back and tuning back in. We love hearing from you guys, and having a chance to talk with ourselves is great. It's something that we do, and hopefully you kind of see that this passion we have isn't just showing up at classes or isn't just showing up at chapels. This is who we are,
Yep.
and we just wanted to share that with you. So thank you for tuning in. We have a passage this week, Ephesians 3:16-19. Some of you may be familiar with it, some of you may not. It's kind of cool, describing Paul's description of what we can have with Christ and kind of that relationship. But I'm gonna let you kind of start on this one. You read it, and then we'll just kind of work through.
Well, Doug, first of all, let me say Happy May to you.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
First day of May.
First day of May, yeah.
So
I'm so in the zone of thinking. It's like, oh, I gotta, track through. It's like, relax, dude. Relax. They're not going anywhere. Well, maybe you are. But anyway, Happy May Day.
Yep. All right. Well, so as Doug mentioned, our passage today is Ephesians 3,
There you
16 through 19.
I mean, you can do 6. You want to change that one. My notes are for Ephesians 3.
No, we'll stay there. We'll stay there. So I'm going to read the passage, and then we'll come back and talk about some different aspects of it and bring that out a little bit more clearly to us. So this kind of setup, as we talked about last week, the setup is about spiritual power.
Yeah.
Having spiritual power, spiritual strength, the kind of inner strength that we have, that we can gain. So it starts off in verse 16, it says, I pray that he may grant you, according to the riches of his glory, to be strengthened with power in your inner being through his Spirit, and that Christ may dwell in your hearts through faith. I pray that you, being rooted and firmly established in love, may be able to comprehend with all the saints what is the length, width, height, depth of God's love, and to know Christ's love that surpasses knowledge, so that you may be filled with the fullness of God. Now, one thing as we begin this, according to the riches of his glory, was one thing that really struck out to me.
Mm-hmm.
I pray that you may grant you, according to the riches of his glory. Here, God has everything at his disposal, and he wants to bestow it on us.
Yeah.
He wants to pour it out on us. He wants us to experience, and this is to be strengthened with the power in your inner being. Now, I know that you've done something on the inner being, so take us a little bit to that, what you're thinking about.
The word for inner there is actually really interesting because it's not describing necessarily location. The Greek emphasis there is on the process. In fact, most of the time this word is used to describe someone moving to.
Okay.
Peter moves into, so like at the crucifixion, at the trial, Peter moves into the room to watch Jesus being crucified.
Sure.
That's in Matthew and it's in Mark. In Acts, there's a story about moving Peter into an inner jail.
Okay.
And so, but it's not describing as a location. It's describing the process of going deeper inside.
So more action.
Yeah. It's a verb.
Okay.
And that's the fascinating kind of thing. Is it's like he's describing in your process as you dig deeper into yourself, or you learn more and more the heart of core of who you are.
Right.
That's where Christ wants to be. It's not. He's not. He doesn't want to be contained in like a little bowl. Like, okay, that's it. That's the end. It's like it's a constant moving closer to the center. And if I could use Peter, I just thought of this. If I could use Peter's example, right, in Matthew and Mark, and talks about him moving into the inner, he was moving to get to Jesus.
Okay.
Right? That's where Jesus was, at the heart.
Right.
In the heart of all that ugliness, in the heart of all that mess and that pain, Peter knew the best place to be is closer to Jesus. Yeah.
One of the things I talk about the inner for me is that sometimes we talk about getting that inner strength. And we see that maybe perhaps, people call it maybe second wind.
Yeah, an athlete, right?
Yeah, an athlete, or power through something, whatever that is, whether it's a difficult time in your life or whether you're struggling with something or need to go an extra mile, whatever that is. But to me, this story these verses bring out such a key part that inner strength is God. Yeah.
It's not a pull yourself up by the bootstraps kind of thing. At least from Paul's perspective, it's like the tree and the funny thing is, you think about it, right? On the outside of a tree, you got bark and it's hard and it's the hardest part, right? That's the oldest part. It's been exposed to the elements. And in the center, we call the heartwood, or the heart of the wood. And Mr. Dunn could add to that. But that's where the sap is flowing. That's where the nutrition is. That's where everything is the most pliable and bendable. And it's almost like That's where Jesus is, and that strength of that bending and the sap that flows. He's not in the hard outer shell part. It's not that he doesn't care about that, but he's at the core that keeps that tree strong. Because if the tree was just rigid,
sure,
that's what happens with our trees. Like in my front yard, we had these 2 branches come down with a storm, and boom, it's just something's too hard, it's too rigid, it breaks. But if it has give or flex, then it's going to survive the winds of life.
Yeah, and that's so true. And then it goes on. This verse in 17 says that Christ may dwell in your hearts through faith. You know, the idea we learned a lot about dwelling. You know, we dwell. And I don't know about you, Dag, but I know sometimes for me to sit still and dwell is almost impossible.
Yeah,
you know, I'm looking for that next thing. I got to clean.
That's true. I can probably do that better than PJ.
I think so.
PJ, I don't think I've ever seen you. One of the funniest things, just to sort of, because I do want to connect to this $2 bill and this. So your experience, right? So I come into your office, and the phrase, I got to show you. And so in his office, he's got, I don't know if you've seen a picture, he shared it with you. He's got this little box of boxes that's on the wall, and I thought maybe it was like an old thing for mail envelopes, but that's probably a really good idea, where they used to put little cubby holes for type. He's got all this stuff organized and all those little kind of things, and you think about the inner thing. And here's BJ, so it's got it all organized, right? It's all looking beautiful, and I'm thinking, oh, good. That'd say if it was me, I'd be like, good, set. It's like my bulletin boards. My kids know those bulletin boards go up in August. They are set until May, right? You guys know that. Well, PJ, he got it all set and done, and then Mrs. Spire goes, I want to repaint this. And he's like, all right. And so he rips everything out and down, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness. I'd be like, you can paint during the summer. It's like, nope. So he moves everything off, and you know, because he couldn't sit still. But it looks beautiful, by the way.
Thank you.
You get a chance, you got to look at his office. You got to come look at his office.
Exactly. Come visit us. But that idea of dwelling, of just kind of, you know, and one of the things that I've realized is that dwell, and we do this, I think, sometimes in families. When we gather our family together, we come and we just kind of sit with each other. And different families, different traditions where they may share something, they sing together, whatever that is, we just kind of sit and we enjoy those moments. And I found that those moments when you do that, going into them, I'm not always so excited about them. Because what are we going to do for the next 20 minutes? Just sit here? But once you're done, you realize, wow, that was really a powerful thing. And to be able to, that Christ dwells in us, be able to go to that and to have that is such a powerful connection and to know that when I do that, there's strength waiting for me there. Yeah,
in the being still.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, what else? I mean, you have the maybe able to comprehend that one. I hadn't studied actually that, but when you read it, it's like, oh wow. I'm curious what Paul used for his language. May be able to comprehend with all saints what is the breadth, length, depth, and height. And I already know, Paul, that is it's not a joke.
No.
But he's like, it's not going to happen.
I'm not going to get it.
He's hoping that you may be able to comprehend with all saints what is the breadth and length and depth and height to know the love of Christ. It's like, not that it's going to happen, but good luck trying with that. And it's just so funny. He may be able to comprehend. And I do remember that the word comprehend there is the same one that John uses in John 1:5. It says, so you have light shineth in the darkness, and the darkness hath not extinguished it or not comprehended. It's a kata lambano, I think. It means to take hold of.
Right.
Which is why the word we think of comprehend. Oh, I comprehend, which is mentally I take hold of. But it's not just, there's another word for letting something wash over you, but the kata lambano, and this is to grasp, to actively, if somebody was running by and you stopped them, that would be this word. And so maybe able to grasp, hold on to, search after. It's an active passage in that sense.
Well, do you remember last week when we were discussing and we were talking about the lesson with Peter?
Peter, right. Matthew 17.
Right, Matthew 17. And the reference that he learned a life lesson.
Yeah.
You know, to me, when I saw it maybe, it's like, this is still my goal. Right. I'm still learning this lesson. I'm still learning how to comprehend, but I need to keep going.
Yeah.
You know,
because
I think sometimes we look at the high mountain, or we look at something that's impossible for me to comprehend, or that's impossible for me to attain.
Right.
Right. And we stop ourselves, but even though that the width, the depth is so big, keep trying.
Yeah. And even with that, I like that, because the idea that even if you got to the bottom, or got to the top, or got around whatever, how big the source was, or whatever, right? There's still more.
There's still more.
Right?
Yeah.
There's still more, and you may be able to comprehend, to know the love of Christ, which I know is agape there, which passeth knowledge. What do you got?
Yeah. I got that one for you. Did you want to say anything?
No. Go ahead.
Well, Christ's love that surpasses knowledge. When you think about, you and I are in the lifelong ministry of working with students, teenagers largely, and you think about the gift of knowledge. And then one of the hardest things for us right now is, sometimes we really get our strength by being able to be in the same room together.
Yeah.
By being able to dialogue and share. Yeah. You and I are both keen that way. We love
watching people's reaction, which is what's a little hard, so please write. But anyway,
yes.
But be in the middle and read the crowd and and you realize somebody didn't quite get that, or they ask a question and they have a strange look on their face and you're like, oh, I need to clarify this. Right. Or they look excited and you're like, yeah, it's coming through. Right.
But when I was reading this, it surpasses, and you understand that no Christ's love that surpasses knowledge. So many of our kids are experiencing things, what they're experiencing becomes their knowledge. That is not a picture of love.
Yeah.
That is not. In our own life, we have had moments where we don't experience that depth of love. And so when it surpasses, the Christ's love that surpasses knowledge, it goes beyond my understanding around me.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I mean, and thought about it, but those two verses really pair well. He's saying that you may be able to comprehend.
Right.
And on one hand, and yet he's saying, but it passes knowledge.
Yeah.
So it's like, try, grasp, reach, but it's not going to happen, because the settling of Christ, it's not knowledge, it's not a head thing. He's like, I want you to know in the fiber of your being, beyond what you could explain with words,
yes,
that God is a good God. That despite what sometimes things look like, and despite the storm clouds or the rain that's happening, God is still on His throne and still there. You may be trying to figure out, how am I going to pay the bills? If there's parents are watching with their kids, if there's other people watching, how am I going to do this? How do I take care of this son? How do I take care of this daughter? How do I take care of this mother? How do I take care of this father? If somebody's sick or alien, or what happens? Or what about my heart? How do I take care of me in the midst of this? And it's just beyond what Paul is asking is he's wishing that everyone could have that depth of experience that goes beyond just knowing. Going beyond just the idea of love, and knowing deep within your soul that you are loved. God didn't save you and thus you became lovable.
Right.
God loved you and you became savable. And that's a very different process that we kind of put God through.
Well, hey, we're so glad that you joined us once again. Ephesians 3:16-19. That you've taken time to share with us and allow us to share with you our thoughts. We'd love to hear from you. So please respond to principal@MontereyBayAcademy.org or dgregory@MontereyBayAcademy.org and let us know what you think.
You know what I was just thinking? We should probably put on there a message, because I think PK's putting these up. So you could respond also to PK.
Yep.
He'd love to hear from you and see what, who's watching, where, what, and how. So send us that in as well. So PK@MontereyBayAcademy.org as well. All right, until next week, we'll see you.
Bye.